Kill me instantaneously! Please! Ah! Oh my god! Oh, I did it! Ah! I did it!
Plays today we are playing the scariest game of all creation. Probably never heard of it. It's called Five Nights at Freddy's.
Greetings to all Five Nights at Freddy's fans. You probably realize that it is now the 10th anniversary, and that is why I made a video for you, where I will recall all the good and bad memories from the franchise. Enjoy this video and especially the anniversary. On August 8, 2014, the first Five Nights at Freddy's game is released. This game was created by a creator named Cawthon all by himself. Immediately after its release, it caught the attention of many people. Most likely, because it was an original horror game with an interesting idea and game mechanics. In this game, we play as a night security guard in a pizzeria with animal mascots who hunt us at night. We look at the cameras and try to survive, but we have a limited number of batteries for the night. There are actually 6 nights in this game, plus 1 bonus. Every night we watch from 12 AM to 6 AM. Many people started playing it, and the game became more and more popular. Soon MatPat from the channel, the game theorist, notices the game and brings us the first theories about the 5 missing children and a lot more. People enjoy it, and so Cawthon decided to release another part of the game. This game was once again created by Cawthon himself, as were the first 6 games. This game was created about 3 months after Five Nights at Freddy's 1. All the players started playing again and enjoyed the gameplay and the creepy atmosphere. MatPat decided to try to solve the mystery of this franchise, and, being the genius that he is, he almost did. He found out that Fnaf 2 takes place before Fnaf 1 and that there were 2 other pizzerias before these. He then goes on to find out the stories of all the children and who the purple guy is. Though we will not discuss the theory now, there are other videos for that. As both games were very popular and people started to find out the hidden story of the pizzerias, Scott decided to release another game. The game Five Nights at Freddy's 3 quickly became popular. It is still one of the highest rated FNAF games. This game is different from the previous 2 games. We are not guarding a pizzeria, but a horror attraction. In addition, this game has different game mechanics, lots of secrets and mini-games, and most importantly, it has 2 endings, one good and one bad. Of course, different theories began to be invented again. I'll summarize the main points for you. The game takes place after the first and second games. More information was discovered about the killer and the first murder. The existence of the Fredbear's Family Diner was also confirmed, and it was revealed that Puppet asked the children to learn how to control the animatronics. And the technology of the Springlock suits was understood, in which the killer died and Springtrap was created. Again, the game was successful. Why not make another one? Well, we can only be glad that Scott decided to continue making games. Anyway, this game again has a different gameplay. We play here as a little boy who has nightmares, where he is chased by scary animatronics in his room at night, and we have to save ourselves from them. There is also a Halloween edition for this game, where the animatronics are slightly altered but the gameplay is the same. Before the release of this game, everyone was waiting for the reveal of the Bite of 87 event, and they got the answer. Well, not really. Nowadays we know that the event where the crying child was bitten by Fredbear is the Bite of 83, but at the time, everyone thought it was the Bite of 87.
Was that the Bite of 87?
So this game takes place before Fnaf 2. Furthermore, there are a lot of other secrets, such as the hidden inscriptions 87 in the game program, and also the inscription Nightmare. It's really a game that greatly developed the lore and completed our story. There are still many question marks, We still have some gaps in the story. Fnaf helped us unravel some questions, but also brought a lot of them. That's probably why Scott decided to continue. But he probably didn't go in the right direction. I forgot to mention that before this game he published a book called Silver Eyes. It ended up being a trilogy. However, we will not deal with books so much in this video. Fnaf World, according to Scott Cawthon, was the biggest disappointment. He thought that whatever he released would be successful, so he made the game quickly, but not as well as he wanted, and now he regrets it. That's why this game was pulled from Steam, and can now only be downloaded on Game Jolt. However, in this game we play as a lovable Freddy, running freely around the world, collecting new animatronics and fighting enemies. There is also a story that we play the game by, but this game didn't help us much in the story of the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise. But it's a really interesting idea. I think the game could have been really good if Scott Cawthon cared about it. He decided that it couldn't go on like this, so he released another game that he cared more about. This game was highly anticipated. People were already coming up with theories just from the teasers and trailers. Anyway, this was the game where the theorists made the most mistakes of all. It's not that they were stupid. They didn't have enough evidence, so they had to guess from what they knew. The true story of Fnaf's sister location was revealed long after the game was released. Anyway, in this game we play as Cawthon, who is trying to save his sister. We play here for 5 nights and check the animatronics variously. There are also 2 endings, but both are bad. It is a really amazing game that is different from other Fnaf games. It takes place after the death of the Bite of 83 vet. Theorists later found out that it takes place in 1985, between Fnaf and Fnaf 2. The game was very successful compared to Fnaf World, so Scott decided to try again to release an original and elaborate game. This game on Steam looked like it was just some Fnaf mini game that would take you 5 minutes. That as soon as you turn on the game, you appear in a restaurant that you can build according to yourself and you have to spend your money wisely. You are at the office again at night. This time you can't close the vents or take the mask here. You have to lure the animatronics with sounds. When they are close you have to turn off the monitor and light into the ventilation. You have to listen to the sounds and that makes this game scary. At first glance, everyone liked the game, but it stopped. People have realized that there are very limited restaurant building options, every night is the same, and the gameplay is quite boring. Again, people have started theorizing about the story and I'll summarize it for you now. The game takes place last in the timeline. Here we play as Henry Emily, who decided to end everything. Lured all the animatronics including William Cawthon and his daughter Charlotte Emily. After everyone was in the basement, he poured a lot of gasoline there and burned himself to death with everyone there. That should have been the end of this franchise. But a lot of people were sad that it was ending, so Scott decided to release another game. This game is actually a custom night of all games combined. You can choose any animatronic here and play against it. It's more like an arcade game where you collect points. There are different offices and challenges. There are also a lot of secrets. For example, Old Man Consequences, how he catches fish. Or that you turn Golden Freddy into Fredbear using the Def coin. Actually, you can't choose all the animatronics, but DD can turn them on for you. For example, Shadow Bonnie, Lilbit and Bonnet. Everyone thought it couldn't have any lore. But it turns out that this game is actually a hell for William Cawthon for all the evil deeds he has done. People were very happy that 5 Nights at Freddy's was back and so he decided to take the games to a new level. This game is the so-called first modern Fnaf game where the next part of our story opens up to us. Glitch Trap and Vanny appear here for the first time. It is the first game not created by Scott Cawthon. Steelwool Studio participated in the creation of the game. The game contains a remake of the first 3 games, a lot of bonus levels and mini-games. The game can also be played in VR. The whole community was excited about the continuation of the new stories and the game in general. The collaboration with Steelwool was successful, so Scott decided to continue it. This game does not take place in virtual reality, but in augmented reality. It was very popular among children. The gameplay is similar to playing Pokémon Go. Here you collect various animatronics and skins for them. Illumix Studio worked on this game because it has experience with games in AR. A new update came to the game with new skins that look really interesting. People liked this game very much. The only thing that bothered them was the large number of microtransactions. Since no one addressed it, people stopped playing it, and the studio distanced itself from the game. The servers have been disconnected, so unfortunately, you won't be able to play this game today. Too bad. The game could have been very good in the future. In June 2021, probably the saddest news in the world of Five Nights at Freddy's was announced. Scott Cawthon has ended his collaboration with Fnaf. This was because Scott was sending his earnings to a political party that does not support the LGBT community. When members of this community found out, they decided to write threatening messages to Scott, such as burning down his house or doing something to his family. Scott didn't want to be the target of criticism, so he decided to quit. Certainly, almost no one in the Fnaf community thinks it was fair. Being threatened with death is far worse than what Scott did. It could have been resolved differently. Of course, Scott has nothing against the LGBT community, as he has many friends who are part of the community. Unfortunately, this is how it turned out, and there is nothing that can be done about it. Fortunately, Scott is still somewhat involved in the development of new Fnaf games. Scott continued with the Steelwool studio as past collaborations were successful. At that time, everyone was dealing with it, looking forward to it, and had high expectations. The trailers for this game looked extremely good. That's why everyone was looking forward to the game. When the game came out, almost all YouTubers played it, even those who never knew about Fnaf. Unfortunately, the game was not that good. It was intended more for children. The game was hardly scary at all. There were still a lot of bugs, and the story was very simple and undeveloped. The game has several endings. Today, we already know which one is canon. Anyway, even Scott regrets that it turned out this way. He didn't communicate enough with the developers, and they didn't know much about Fnaf, so we can't be surprised that it turned out this way. Lately, people are starting to change their minds and see the game less badly. Fortunately, this game was saved as new DLC was announced in the game. It was clear from the first teasers that the Ruin would be much better and scarier than the original Security Breach. The game was released about a year ago, and people had a positive opinion of the game. People liked the game very much. For example, when you put on Vanny's mask, you see the surroundings differently. There is a creepy and understandable gameplay, almost no bugs, and most importantly, there is no annoying Gregory. The game clears up a lot of questions from the past game. For example, because of the DLC, we know the Princess Quest ending is canon. Also, the game brought us a lot of questions. For example, there are several endings in the game, but we still don't know which one is the right one. The next game will probably tell us that, but we don't know anything about it yet. The Five Nights at Freddy's movie has been awaited since 2015, and we finally got it. There were different opinions on the film. Some liked it and others disappointed. The story didn't match the games at all, but that's okay. It wasn't bad at all for me, and it was worth the wait. But it's a shame that the film was intended more for children, so it wasn't very scary and there were no brutal scenes, which is a shame. There were really a lot of Easter eggs that only longtime fans understood, which I'm glad for. I think it could have been worse, so I wasn't disappointed. Maybe it will be improved by the second Fnaf movie that would come out next year. Steelwool has decided to release a sequel to the popular game Help Wanted. Again, it received mostly positive reviews. The game is very similar to the first part, but of course there are different levels. This game focused on today's modern FNAF games rather than the old ones, and it paid off. The game is back in VR. Although the game was made relatively quickly and came out unexpectedly, it did not diminish the quality. It's a great episode, and maybe we'll see a third in a few years. Steel Wool has definitely improved its reputation with this game compared to Security Breach. The most anticipated game of the year, the game is largely inspired by the book Fnaf Into The Pit. Although it was released only recently, the game was really successful. Mega Cat Studios collaborated on this game, and they did a good job. The game is very scary. According to fans, it is the scariest modern FNAF game. The game has multiple endings, depending on how you choose to play. If you've read the book, it's okay. The game isn't an exact copy of the book, and as mentioned, there are multiple endings, so you can make up your own mind. The game was better than we expected, so we can only hope that another similar game will come out. We have a lot to look forward to in the future. For example, a new interactive novel was recently released, where you can get 2 different endings based on your decisions. The book is now online for free on Five Nights at Freddy's Twitter. Also announced was 5 Laps at Freddy's, a racing game with FNAF characters. I don't know if I should look forward to it, but maybe it will surprise like Five Nights at Freddy's Pizzeria Simulator. In 2025 we can look forward to the game Secret of the Mimic. The teaser looked very interesting, and we even found out that the game will take place in 1979. After that, only the Fnaf Movie is announced, which will be released in cinemas next December, so hopefully it will be at least as good as the first one. That's it. I edited this video in 3 days and I'm probably going crazy. I hope you liked this video and please support it. The next one will be a little shorter. I would also like to thank Cawthon. You have created a really great game series and most importantly a community. I hope you will continue to make games, books and movies. Thank you very much.